Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. We are from Group 11 and in this short video we're gonna analyze on the principle of two type of engine which are 2-stroke and 4-stroke engine. In the first part we're going to focusing on the efficiency of both type of engine. But before we go into deep, we need to know the criteria from both engine. So let's start with 2-stroke engine. The 2-stroke engine only need two movements from the piston that operate in a one cycle in order to produce the power. The exhaust and intake of the gas is work simultaneously, so the 2-stroke engine doesn't need more than one cycle. There is a valve for the intake stroke that open and close according to the changing in the pressure. As you seen in this figure, the 2-stroke engine is very compact, so there are always contact occur between the component. Thus, it needs a lubricant oil to smoothen the operation. There are only two processes in a 2-stroke engine. The first process is in compression stroke. The mixture of air fuel will enter the chambers when the inlet port is open. This mixture will be compressed by piston that moving upward. The compressed mixture will be igniting by the spark plug and begin the power stroke. When the power stroke begins, the piston will be experience an expansion or moving downward. This is because the high pressure heated gas is exerted on the piston. All the waste heat will be exhausted in the form of smoke. Next, we take a look on the 4-stroke engine. 4-stroke engine is very common in industry because it's very good in balance in power, efficiency, and reliability. A 4-stroke engine will operate all four events separately in terms of mechanical, which will reduce the unburned fuel emission. This engine also will separate the oil from fuel, thus the carbon monoxide emission can be minimized. This advantage have put 4-stroke engine as a favor in manufacturing industry and also in the market. The first process is in intake stroke. The cylinder bore will be moved by piston from the top dead center TDC to the bottom dead center BDC. The intake valve is open and the exhaust valve is closed. The negative air pressure or vacuum is created by the downward piston motion that leads to the air-fuel mixture is drawn into the engine by the open intake valve. Next, in the compression stroke, the cylinder bore is once again moved by the piston, but this time from the bottom dead center to the top dead center. Now, both intake and exhaust valves are closed. The air-fuel mixture is compressed by the motion from the piston that moves upward, and this operation occurs at the combustion chamber. The third process is power stroke. After the compression stroke occurs, the air-fuel compressed mixture will ignite by the spark plug, resulting in the explosion force. This force will push the piston back down to the cylinder bore and rotate the crankshaft. At this moment, the vehicle is moving forward. The last process occurs in the exhaust valve, where the piston moves the cylinder bore from the BDC to the TDC. The momentum caused by the power stroke is what continue the crankshaft movement and other three strokes. So which one is more efficient? In our opinion, 4-stroke engine is certainly win. This is because the 4-stroke engine doesn't need lubricant like the 2-stroke engine, where it's very reducing the wear and tears. 2-stroke engine are only relevant in the engine need to apply to a machine or vehicle that requires simple construction and also lightweight. But the problem is the 2-stroke engine are very compact and the parts are easy to contact each other. so it needs lubricant to smoothen the operation and cost the money. Another element that we should consider is pollution. Two-stroke engine require the pre-mixture air fuel where it causes carbon gas and nitrogen oxide emission. These gases are very dangerous to Earth that can cause lowering our ozone level. Thus, four-stroke engines are more environmentally friendly because it reduces the gas emission. Furthermore, the four-stroke engine also less noise because it's less vibration, where it's also sound friendly. In conclusion, four-stroke engines are more efficient than two-stroke engine in terms of application to modern industry, less wear and tear, reducing the pollution, and also environmentally friendly.
Okay, next is about the two-stroke engine, the range of the engine efficiency. As we all know, two-stroke engine is basically not practical in the long run as it will only produce more power by sacrifice the efficiency of the engine. Okay, firstly is about the thermal efficiency. The thermal efficiency of the two-stroke engine is below 30% and lower than the four-stroke. Firstly is about the problematic with the two-stroke engine is the exhaust port. The exhaust port open before the piston reach bottom dead center. In many two-stroke, the ports open as much as 2/3 way down in the stroke. At this point, the cylinder still has considerable pressure. So this waste energy will produce a familiar harsh exhaust. As the result, the much longer stroke to bore ratio to allow the fuller expansion before the exhaust port open. This can have a disadvantage, which is lowering the maximum permissible due to the high piston and connecting rod loads. And lastly, it also will produce more heat because it's and then to solve it will require a greater cooling and lubrication. Okay, next is the fuel efficiency. The fuel efficiency of the two-stroke is 0.55 liter overhead horsepower per hour. Okay, firstly, in the scope of the fuel efficiency, two-stroke is less efficient to the entire combustion cycle. First of all is because just one piston stroke and a compression stroke followed by the explosion that compress the fuel. The cylinders are not scavenged of exhaust gas by the piston forcing them out. They simply escape because the outside air pressure is lower than the cylinder pressure after the spark ignites the fuel. As the upstroke happens, for some part of the travel, the air and the fuel mix so that the oil is need to be pre-mixed oil required beforehand to the engine. And lastly is the torque. In the two-stroke engine, it will create more torque at the higher RPM. And lastly is the durability issues. The durability issues seem to result for the poor the oil needs lubrication and from the extra heat from the one combustion event per revolution as compared with the four-stroke. In addition to using full crankcase lubrication, a means for cooling the underside needs to be provided, such as an oil jet. It is interesting that two-stroke ship diesel use full crankcase lubrication and oil-cooled piston and a very reliable.
What are the problems with two-stroke engine? The first problem is two-stroke engine pollute the environment more. Two-stroke engines generate more volatile organic compounds, hydrocarbons, and particulate matter. All two-stroke engines are smoky to some degree due to the oil, and a badly worn two-stroke engine can produce large clouds of oily smoke which emit high amounts of harmful hydrocarbons and carbon monoxide. In contrast to the larger but considerably more efficient automobiles used in developed countries, which use a four-stroke engine a single two-stroke engine emits the same amount of pollution as 30 to 50 four-stroke automobiles. The high amount of toxic emissions are caused by a mixture of exhaust fume, unburned fuel, and burnt lubricating oil that is combusted with the fuel. Because the fuel-air combination in two-stroke engines becomes contaminated with the engine's lubricating oil, they produce a lot of pollution. At the same time, the polluted mixture is going into the combustion chamber, and exhaust gases are ejected through an exhaust port. Some of the fuel and oil in exhaust combine with it. A portion of each new charge of air fuel that is fed into the combustion chamber leaks out through the exhaust port. The combination of leaking hydrocarbons from new gasoline and leaking oil is a disaster for the environment. The second problem is the total cost of owning a two-stroke engine is usually higher due to high fuel costs. The main reason is a four-stroke engine's lower fuel consumption and the cost of adding lubricating oil to gasoline for a two-stroke engine. Even though a two-stroke engine is frequently less expensive to purchase than a four-stroke, the entire life cycle cost of purchasing, fueling, and maintaining a two-stroke engine is usually higher. Furthermore, two-stroke engines do not consume fuel effectively, resulting in lower kilometers per liter. Because of the two-stroke engine's unique construction, some of the fuel-air combination escape through the exhaust. When compared to a four-stroke engine, this results in 10 to 15% higher fuel consumption and as a result 10 to 50% more carbon dioxide emission. The two-stroke engines also necessitate additional upkeep. They need to be overhauled every 30,000 km and decarbonized every 6,000 km because of excessive hydrocarbon emission. Engines that run on two-stroke do not last nearly as long as engines that run on a four-stroke. Due to the lack of a separate lubricating system, the part of a two-stroke engine wear out much more quickly. The types of two-stroke engine. Uniflow scavenging two-stroke engine. Uniflow scavenging refers to a design in which both the new intake charge and the exhaust gases flow in the same direction. The intake and exhaust port must be on opposite side of the cylinder for this to work. The fresh charge enters through piston control ports towards the bottom of the cylinder and flow upward, pushing the exhaust gases out through propelled valve in the cylinder head. Other universal engines like the Ricardo Dolphin marine engine have a downfield flow direction, with the fresh air fuel mixture entering at the top of the cylinder and exhaust gases exiting at the bottom. Another version compresses the charge between the two cylinders by using piston control opening at both ends of the cylinder and two opposite pistons in each cylinder moving in opposite direction. The Uniflow scavenging two-stroke engine mechanism. The most modern marine diesel engine use Uniflow as their scavenging mechanism because it is one of the scavenging techniques that does not rely solely on piston movement. The scavenging mechanism is controlled by an exhaust valve placed in the cylinder head center. When the piston begins to move down after combustion, the exhaust valve opens. As a result of the combustion process, this aids in the release of exhaust gas outward. The fresh air begins to fill in as the scavenged spots are uncovered, sweeping exhaust gas forth through the exhaust valve. The scavenged points on the engine are consulted at an angle resulting in railing action. This fresh air swirling action will aid in correct atomization as well as a better air-fuel combination. To allow additional fresh air to sweep in, the exhaust valve closes just before the scavenging ports are covered by the piston. Although the Unico scavenging system has more moving components and is more expensive, it allows for a longer scavenge time, which improves the engine overall efficiency. The Unico scavenging two-stroke engine advantages is stroke turbo ratio is high, higher power output, linear with a simple design, linear is inexpensive, lube oil consumption is reduced, improved scavenge effectiveness, and fuel oil consumption is minimal. Then, Unico scavenging two-stroke engine disadvantages is necessity to a complex cooling system, expensive. It necessitates more upkeep, require the installation of 2 or more fuel oil tanks, and it is not suitable for use with very small engines.
Assalamualaikum and very good day everyone. So today I would like to talk about type of two-stroke engine. So the first one is rotary inlet valve. So what is rotary inlet valve? A rotary valve is a type of valve in which of rotation of a passage or passage in a transverse plug regulates the flow of liquid or gas through the attached pipes, periodically reversing the flow of the air and the fuel across the open heart furnace. So, how it works? Rotary airlock valves are also called rotary feeder. Rotary valves or just rotary airlocks used in both pressure style and vacuum style pneumatic conveying system. These valves serve as a lock to prevent air loss while simultaneously performing vital material handling functions. So simple, the rotary airlock valve is a critical component to the efficiency of a conveying system. It is important to remember that not all rotary valves are necessarily rotary airlock valve, but virtually all rotary airlocks are rotary valve. So, what are the advantages? First one, rotary valve were mainly employed on high performance engine and mostly used on a race bike, although occasionally on road bike. The main advantage is that you have precise opening and closing of inlet port and are able to run quick radical intake timing, which is not an option with either piston ported or reed valve system without the use of complicated or fragile power valve system. So the other advantage is short length of intake since the cups are mounted directly into crankcase and therefore don't need complicated passageway to feed the engine. One major disadvantage is the carburetor have to be mounted on the side of the motor rather than either the front or the back of the cylinder. In the accident, the can get totally wiped out. So the disadvantage is carburetor have to be mounted on the side of the motor rather than either front or back of the cylinder. In an accident, they can get totally wiped out. So the second one is called piston control inlet. So what is a piston port? Is the simplest of the design and the most common is in small two-stroke engines. All functions are controlled slowly by the piston covering and undercovering the port as it moves up and down in the cylinder. In the 1970s, Yamaha worked out that some basic principle for the system. They found that, in the general, widening an exhaust port increases the power by the same amount as raising the port, but the power band does not narrow as it does when the port is raised. So, how it works? So, two-stroke cycle from the upper stroke, allowing air and fuel inside the engine through inlet port, covering exhaust port. For the downstroke, the covering the inlet port and the fuel from the bottom part will move to upper part of the engine. So that's all from me. Thank you.